Hey everybody, it is a dreary school night. It is rainy, snowy, cold, windy, you name it. It's doing it out there. And this week we were supposed to have a soup and chili cook-off at work and it was canceled. But before I knew it was canceled, I took out all the ingredients, I found a recipe, and so I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make it anyways for a couple of reasons. Number one, Mom, you're gonna laugh because I'm making chili. And as a kid, I did not like chili. I don't know what it was. I think it was the cumin, maybe the kidney beans, although I'm okay with those now. So I found a recipe that I think I'm going to like. I'll link it in the description box below. I'm going to change it up a little bit just because of the ingredients and what I'm using, but I'm going to follow pretty much the same recipe as the video and the link that I'm going to post. And I'll also post just the ingredients list for you if you want it. So to start, because chili has beans in it, I'm using my beautiful beans again. I only have about a cup left of the ones that we grew last year. And so after this, I'll be able to make one more batch of either baked beans or chili if we like it. So I'm going to put these in the Instant Pot for, I'm actually going to cook them longer than 25 minutes and let them release naturally. I'm going to cook them, I think, what did I say? Maybe 35 or 40 minutes, so I know they're cooked fully through. Because for the baked beans, you cook them for 25 natural release and then 15 and natural release. So I might cook them for about 40 minutes, let them naturally release, and that should be good. And then the time in the crock pot tomorrow will definitely do it. So I'm gonna add these to the Instant Pot. I've got my super cozies on. I am one of those people that when I get home from work, I completely change into either my work clothes or my cozy clothes. And today are my cozies. So I've got my William Prince. I feel like Tumbleweed Tommy, but I want to show you these pants that my sister got me. So they're fleece lined leggings and they've got little pine cones and like little pine boughs, and maybe these are snowflakes and some berries. They're very cute, but they're also super cozy. I digress. Okay, let's show you. Okay, so we're gonna add, it's 16 ounces or a cup, and then it calls for 8 cups of water, but actually what I'm going to do, because I'm going to put canned tomatoes in this recipe, I'm gonna strain these and cook the beans in the tomato juice just to add some flavor. I don't know if that's allowed or recommended, but we're just gonna go for it. I'm gonna top the rest up with water as well. So we're gonna, and this is actually good because these tomatoes are from 2021, so it's good that I'm using them up. I don't mind if there's some liquid left. That's good because that'll cook in the chili. But if I put all this liquid in, it might, the chili might be too liquidy. Okay, great. Now I'll use that same colander to strain my beans. So I'm just gonna fill up the rest with water. Now, the tomatoes, because they are canned, I think there would have been salt in there, so I'm going to add some salt, but not a ton. It calls for a teaspoon of salt when you cook the beans, but I'm just gonna put a little bit. Check all my parts are on. Last time I didn't check and I was missing a part. There it is. Okay. And we are gonna cook this for pressure cook, normal. Good. Okay. The recipe that I am using calls for 3 teaspoons of garlic powder. So I am going to substitute actual cloves of garlic, and then I'm still gonna add a little bit of garlic powder, but I'd like the garlic flavor to come from actual garlic. So I'm just gonna chop up 1 onion. Okay, and while I am chopping, or as I chop, I'm going to get the bacon cooking. See, that's why I think I'm gonna like this, because there's bacon in it. And if there's bacon, it's gotta be good. And of course, the recipe calls for like 5 strips of bacon. Who does that? When I cook bacon, I cook the whole shoot match. So again, my bacon is from, let's see, Three Forks Farm. Our friends Jared and Alicia grow pigs. And it's actually very lean this year, which is really nice. So I'm gonna cook this bacon up, which means I'm probably gonna have to add fat to the pan. Because I won't have enough fat to cook the veggies in. I'm using my big monster frying pan again. I love this thing. I gave Brian a hard time when he bought it. Not really too much, but I was like, oh gosh, do we need another cast iron pan? But it sure is nice when you're cooking large volumes of stuff. This is some skinny bacon. But the smokiness is going to be so tasty in the chili. Trying to figure out what the flavors in chili are that I don't really love. And I actually think it's the chili powder. So I don't have chili powder, so it's good because I'm not gonna put it in. And that might defeat the purpose of making chili, but this is gonna be good. It doesn't really matter. And the cumin. So I'm only gonna put in as much as I have. I don't even know if it calls for 2 teaspoons. I might have just that amount. Okay, and take the bacon out. It was pretty lean, so I am gonna have to add some fat back to the pan. That's a lot of bacon, actually. I might not put that all in the chili. I can freeze some of it. Okay, so now I'm gonna add 1 onion, 3 cloves of garlic minced, and then this is a frozen jalapeno minced seeds in. So hopefully that won't be too hot for Brian. I'll hear about it for sure. I'm gonna get that stirred around. Let those sweat a little bit. I need to get that brown off the bottom or this is all gonna burn. So I don't have a fresh green pepper, but I do have frozen. So I'm going to add, I don't know, maybe all that? Or maybe just a bit. And that should get some of that brown off the bottom. Just some moisture from the peppers. I don't have any red pepper either, so we're putting in what we have. The idea is not to have to buy anything from the store. So everything from what we have here. I think we can do it. I feel like I should just put all of that in. It'll be green peppery, but I don't mind green peppers. So there we go. Okay, we're just gonna let that soften and then we're gonna take that out and add our ground venison to cook. Okay, let's taste this. Oh, I gotta really swallow. That's strong. Ooh, it's gonna be diluted once I put the canned tomatoes in. But oof, that packs a punch. It's good. It's tasty, but it's strong. Very spicy, like not hot spice, just like spicy. You know what I might add? A little bit of maple syrup, of course. Meow. That makes everything better. If you're sitting there thinking, she didn't tell us what she put in the sauce, you're right, I forgot to hit record. So here's a list of ingredients. If you want to add chili powder, the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons. I didn't add chili powder, but I did add 1 tablespoon of oregano, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, it was heaping, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of basil, half a teaspoon of pepper, 1 can of tomato paste, 1 cup of bone broth, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. I am going to just transfer those vegetables into this sauce. I can't see why that might hurt, would it? No, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put these tomatoes in here because that's part of the sauce anyways. Then I'm gonna put the vegetables, transfer them into here. Okay, so the veggies, the tomatoes, the beans have 8 minutes left and then they have to release the pressure. So now we're getting to do the next carnivore section of the meal. We're gonna add 3 pounds of ground venison. And these don't have any fat added to them. This is just ground venison. So there won't be a lot of like added flavor as far as that is concerned. So I'm going to cook this so it's left in bigger chunks. And it doesn't need to be cooked completely. Well, yes, I'm gonna cook it completely, but I'm not worried too much about, you know, cooking it to the point where we're gonna eat it, because it's gonna cook for another maybe 5 or 6 hours tomorrow or longer in the crock pot. I'm probably just gonna put it on low for the day because we have to go to work. So one thing I should say that I didn't add that the recipe called for was celery. I'm not a huge fan of celery. And I think it's also a flavor I didn't like in chili. So I'm not putting that in. Brian does like celery, but I don't. So I'm making it, so I get to make the call. Anyways, but Brian did ask specifically for corn, and I didn't want to use one of my jars of canned corn because we really like that. Actually, Brian really likes it. So I checked the pantry and I have 2 older cans of canned corn, not creamed corn, canned corn. So I'm actually going to add those to the chili just to kind of use it up and get it off the pantry shelf. Yeah, and Brian asked for it, if I could put corn in the chili. So I think I've seen corn in chili before, who knows, but I'm putting it in. So I'll let you know if it's something you should or should not do. I'm still waiting on the beans to naturally release the pressure, but I think we have enough of the other ingredients done that we can start putting this together just to get a gauge of whether I need to add anything. So first I'm going to add, so in here were all of my spices, my tomato paste and my canned tomatoes. So we're gonna add that in. Chili's up to no good out there. There must be a deer in the field or something. I'm going to add, so I added that can of corn, but then I'm gonna add the peppers, onions, garlic. What else was in there? That was it, jalapeno. It smells really good, if that is any indication. I didn't use all the bacon, so I cut up that much. That might have been 10 strips, so double what the recipe actually called for. But those were tiny little strips of bacon, so put those in. This is gonna be full to the brim. Okay, so I'm gonna add the venison. There might not be room for beans. And venison is so lean. Like, you never get any fat when you cook venison. So we made up for that with the bacon, I feel like. I think I'm gonna have to add more tomatoes. Especially once, well, we'll see what happens with the beans. See, when they added their beans, they used canned beans, but I don't think this is tomatoey enough. I'm gonna try this just without the beans. See what the flavors are like. Mmm. That's really good. Mmm. That is really good. Brian's gonna say it's the corn. Okay, so now we're just gonna wait for the beans to be done and then we'll add those. Okay, our beans the pressure has released. We're gonna drain them. Okay, we're gonna add them to the chili. Come on down. Okay, we're gonna add them here. Mix them in. I feel as though there is not enough liquid, as I said before. So I think I'm just gonna go down and get one more can of diced tomatoes. So I'm not gonna drain these tomatoes because they're such good flavor, but I'm gonna add one more. Ooh. I'm just gonna chop those up a little bit. There we go, that's better. One more jar of stewed tomatoes, and I'm gonna add another container of tomato paste just to get that to thicken up a little bit. By George, I think we've got it. That is a very full pot of chili. And of course it's for 2 people. I'll put it in the freezer. I'll freeze some of it. Okay, one more try just for flavor and spice now that I've diluted it a little bit. I think it's good. Brian, do you like chili? Mm-hmm. Good thing. Okay. All right, there it is. So here is our venison and garden vegetable chili. My plan is to cook this overnight in the crock pot in the morning. I'm gonna put it outside on the porch. That's why I store a lot of my food in the wintertime. It won't freeze. It's not supposed to be too cold tomorrow. I'll put it outside on the porch, and then I'm not actually going to be home tomorrow night, but Brian can come home and reheat this and eat it for dinner. So that will work out well. So stay tuned for his report back on what he thought and how it tasted.
Okay, folks, flying solo tonight. Katrina has got I think a pampered chef party or something that she went to, and I'm the solo taste tester for the batch of chili that she made. It is piping hot at the moment, so I'm gonna shuffle it around a little bit. I'm ready. I don't think I'll need the milk because I don't think she made any heat in here, which I don't do heat that much. She does, but I'm ready with some milk. I also got some cheese. I like to put a little cheese on top, let it melt in, but I'm gonna go with the straight chili taste test. I see all kinds of good stuff. I asked her to add the canned corn. I think it's our own canned corn from earlier in the summer. I see bacon in there. And of course, you can't go wrong without a piece of homemade bread and butter. Here goes. Hopefully I don't burn my lips with the heat, and we'll let you know how it is. It smells delicious, and it's been sitting out on the porch like a good soup. I think a chili takes on a little bit more flavor the longer it sits. So here we go. I mean, good stuff. I did do a little high-grade shovel where I aimed for all my favorite things, corn, meat, and bacon. But I did catch a little bit of other stuff in here. Looks like some green peppers and stuff, but it is surely delicious, that's for sure. A little bit of cheese in there just gives that old cheddar, just gives it a little bit more of a bite as well once it melts in. With all things considered, full-blown thumbs up for the chili, and by the size of the pot that she made, we should be eating it for another 3 weeks straight. One of those things, my family always would make sure at the end that you got a nice round-edged, bowl-rounded piece of bread at the end to do a full-blown mop-up. And I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Most people that eat out of a bowl, if you spend the time to make this stuff, you don't want to waste any of it. And I always found the best way to scoop that up and not miss anything is with a nice piece of bread. So a nice rounded piece of bread, look at that nice payload on there, and go ahead and it tastes even better because we don't miss any. Next best thing to lick in the bowl. Speaking of licking the bowl, I'm gonna pre-do the dishes here. I'll go ahead and put this back in the drawer. I mean the dishwasher. Thanks for watching.